Hi, I'm Dean Johnson of Johnson Matthews Limited. Welcome to Excel Tips 4. Today's lesson is part 3 of the VLOOKUP formula. So today we're working with the same data as previously, but in this case the table that I'm working with is no longer arranged in ascending order on the first column, and depending on your spreadsheet there may be a valid reason why that could be the case. The result of that, however, is some unpredictable and incorrect results with the VLOOKUP formula. So in this case, I'm looking in the table and I'm looking in column 2 as per this cell here, and we're looking for, in the first case, 108. So we should find 108,5476 should be the result, but in fact I'm finding 7432, which is this number here. And here I'm looking for 102, I should be finding 6234, and in fact I'm finding 3820, and finally 1021, which doesn't exist in this column at all, and yet it's managed to return the value here, 9084. The problem is that the VLOOKUP formula in its standard form expects your table of data to be sorted in ascending order on this first column, and when it's not, it throws the results out. Here's what actually happens. When I look for 108, it starts looking down this column here, looking for 108, or the highest value that's not greater than 108. So what happens is it looks down this column, it starts here and it starts coming down, and it finds 109 here, and it says, oh, okay, 109, that's greater than 108, I'll go back and use that value there, and it returns 7432. So similarly with 102 here, it starts here, it comes down and says 100, well that's less, 107, oh that's more, I'll go back and use the highest value that wasn't greater than it, and it returns 3820. And with 1021, well it starts looking down this column, it gets all the way to the end, it says I haven't found a result, but 103 is less than 1021, so I'll use that value there. So the solution here, where your table of data has to be arranged in an order other than ascending order on the first column, is to modify the VLOOKUP formula to anticipate that situation. If I edit this formula here, I can come to the end here, this last argument, and I can put a comma in and put an optional final argument in. And that argument simply is false in this case. It defaults to true if it's left empty, but I can put false in. And what happens when I put false in is it says, it's an odd one, but it says, look through my first column for this value here and only find me an exact match. So it finds 108 and returns 5476, and you can see that's correct. If I copy that and paste it into these other cells, I've now got 102, it's found 102 and returned 6234, and it's looked for 1021 and it has not found a result. So it's given me the hash NA. That is not an error. That is the correct result for the VLOOKUP on 1021 in that table. There is no matching result. So the optional comma false argument at the end of your VLOOKUP formula is a good safety measure. It can prevent unexpected results and undetected errors. You're better off having a hash NA result than errors you don't even know about. Of course, there are examples when you want to use the VLOOKUP formula and you don't wish to have an exact match. Here's one such example. I have a table here of the marginal tax rates. So from $0 to $14,000, the marginal tax rate is 10.5%, and above 14,000 up to 48,000 it's 17.5%, and so on. What I want to do is enter a salary in this cell here and find the corresponding marginal tax rate. Now it's unlikely that the salary I enter in this cell here is going to match exactly with one of the bands on the marginal tax rate table. So I actually want the situation where the VLOOKUP formula returns the result that corresponds to the highest value that is not greater than the value being looked up. So in this case I'm looking for $55,000, and I'm looking down this column here. Starting in this cell, 55,000 is higher than that, it's higher than that, it's higher than that, it's not higher than that, so I'll go back and use that value there and return the value in the third column, 30%. And if I look at my VLOOKUP formula in this cell here, you can see that's exactly what it's doing. It's looking for C36, which is the 55,000. It's looking in this table here, it's returning the value in the 1, 2, 3, the third column, with no comma false argument. So that's saying close enough is good enough. So the trick with the VLOOKUP formula is knowing when to use the comma false argument for an exact match only and when not to. Personally, I think the formula would have been stronger if the default position was exact match only and you had the option of saying close enough is good enough. However, that's not the way it works. The important thing is to know how it works and when to apply it in what situations, and your spreadsheeting will be that much the stronger for it.